5280 Sports Network, happy Monday, your Overreaction Monday, as always, even without the Broncos playing. Plenty of overreaction coming out of the football playoffs over the weekend. That is Shawn Drotar. I'm Nate Lundy. Thanks for being here at 5280sportsnetwork.com or milehighsports.com. Shawn, the big conversation taking place, the intersection between the wild card games and the Broncos is obviously they will now speak with Vance Joseph. That will be the third candidate that they've talked to, that expecting to take place tomorrow. Lots of chatter on Twitter yesterday about, well, wait a minute, this team got smoked by Pittsburgh 30-12. Why do we want their defensive coordinator as our next head coach? Pump the brakes, everybody.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't mean anything. Look, when you take a team on their worst day, and on top of that, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's the first time they've ever had Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown in a playoff game together, and I think you saw how effective that was. I don't think that's necessarily a condemnation of a Dolphins defense. Remember, they were 10.5-point underdogs anyway. It was a little worse than expected, but I don't think that's some sort of referendum on what Vance Joseph can or can't do. What I find interesting, though, Nate, is now when he's set to interview with the Broncos tomorrow, is the idea that if Vance Joseph, who has now been reported by Pro Football Talk and Alex Marvez to been reaching out to Mike McCoy as his offensive coordinator, the reports are that Joe Woods would be his defensive coordinator, replacing Wade Phillips, promoting the defensive backs coach. That seems rather particular for a guy that has not been hired yet. And keep in mind, even though the Broncos have talked to Dave Toub of Kansas City and Kyle Shanahan of Atlanta, they could not be hired this week because their teams play. Vance Joseph could be.
Yeah, he could be, and maybe not even for another week after that, depending upon what happens, because you are dealing with coaches and assistants that are in the playoffs right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. So obviously, if you believe that Dave Toub or Kyle Shanahan are your top choice, then you have to wait if you're the Broncos, and you wait until the right person is able to be hired, and you can do the press conference and throw confetti in the air and do all of those kinds of things. If it is Vance Joseph, you can obviously make that hire and make it immediately. I think the bigger question, Shawn, that we've been asking ourselves, and we'll never know the answer to it because we're not in those meetings behind closed doors, is why no Wade Phillips?
I cannot even begin to imagine. You know, we're going to call this the morning minute, not the morning 10 minutes, so I won't go completely off here, but it makes no sense to me. To me, I don't understand why you would move away from Wade Phillips. There's nothing that they're really Broncos fans and Broncos organization shouldn't like. They've had the best defense in the NFL more or less over the last couple seasons. They have players who love playing with them. Most of those players are under contract for next year at least already. It makes no sense for me to move away from Wade Phillips whatsoever, even for Vance Joseph, a guy who has some defensive background. But you're talking about a guy in Wade Phillips who coached over 150 games in the NFL. This is a guy who's a head coach on top of that, can give Vance Joseph a bunch of advice as he's embarks on his first time out. To me, I don't understand why any first-time head coach, whether it be Joseph, Shanahan, or anyone else they talk to, should be able to say, hey, I don't need Wade Phillips, because guess what? You don't know that you do. The Denver Broncos didn't even know that they did until they got him back. So to move away from Wade Phillips, to me, that's the one part of the equation that makes absolutely no sense, Nate.
We'll see how things go. The two interviews with Shanahan and Toub took place over the weekend. Again, Vance Joseph will be tomorrow. We'll see if they also expand it out and talk to anybody else. We'll keep you up to date with all the information, 5280sportsnetwork.com, as well as milehighsports.com. Enjoy your Overreaction Monday and the warm weather outside as the snow melts. We'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. For Shawn, I'm Nate. See ya.